Hello everyone, it is I, Mark Major, and behind me here, yes, you can see the action figuratorium in all of its glory, and of course behind me, yes, there's a rubber purple glove. So recently I managed to acquire one of these classic GI Joe 1982 Vamps at a thrift store. And the person who had previously owned it did not store it very well. They had it in a box in the attic, and there was toys on top of it. So when the heat got really hot, like say, in the 90s plus, the thing that was on top of it, which happened to be the Mobat, which is the original GI Joe tank, melted into the Vamp. So this little GI Joe Jeep is not really worth any money at this point, and I decided I would repaint it, because this is one of the things I love doing, is I love refinishing and repainting toys that aren't worth any particular value, and sort of add them to my arsenal of weird war things, and this is no different. Now, the best way to refinish and repaint something, of course, a vehicle, is to take it apart if you can. And I went looking to see if I could find any videos or any posts on forums out there of how to take apart the Vamp without breaking it. And most people said, well, to take it apart, you're going to have to break it. So I decided that I would do my own slow investigation of taking this thing apart. And I managed to get the Vamp totally disassembled without breaking anything. Even got the stickers off without ruining the stickers. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what I did to get my Vamp apart in this sort of refinishing the Vamp Part 1 series. So everybody, let's all come together, let's strap on the leather, and let's hold on tight. All right, so the things that you would need to take this apart, a blow dryer is a really good thing to have on hand. I personally, when it comes to heating up toys to make them easier to work with, I personally like to just get one of those space heaters that blows heat out of it with a fan, not the radiator kind. And I position it about a foot away and just let it kind of get warmed up. Also on really, really hot days, you can kind of put them out in the sun for a little bit. Of course, water is another way that you can go. And in fact, I used hot water on this. You never want to use boiling water, just very, very warm water. And I'm going to show you what happens if the water you use is a little too hot. But for the most part, let's cut over to how I disassembled this Vamp, and I'll take you through each stage. Here is the Vamp in question, and I would like to point out that on the other side here, you can see right here where it is melted, and this is from the Mobat that was on top of it. The tracks of it actually melted into it, and it melted here and here, and so when I go to refinish this, those are going to be battle damage. That's actually going to be kind of cool. I'm going to highlight those. I'm going to make those cool parts of the car. Okay, so this is the Vamp starting off, and you can see I don't have the gun for it. I got the swivel piece, and there's quite a few little parts that make this up. I think you can still see the thrift store sticker underneath. All right, let's go on to the very first thing you're going to want to do. All right, so getting this thing apart into two pieces. It's got a bottom, it's got a top. Now where I'm pointing at with the screwdriver there, that is a tab that holds it together, okay? There's a tab in the front, and then the back part of the shell that goes on top hooks onto sort of what are the rear lights. So when you have it up like this, the tab will actually come out through the bottom. So to take it apart, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to heat this thing up with the blow dryer or the space heater with fan, which is what I use, because when the plastic is soft, it will bend rather than break. Now, if you by chance happen to bend plastic and it comes to the part where it starts to turn white from the stress, you can reverse the effects of that in terms of the visual whitening of it Later on, if you put it in hot water, it will recongeal back to the proper plastic. So to get this thing apart, push on the tab after it's heated up so it bends apart. And once you've got it off, you'll notice that there's a few pieces that just kind of fall off this thing. They're only held on by the top shell itself, and that's the little piece in the back I showed you there. And there's a little piece in the front that pops off, a little kind of a bumper. Okay, so here is the shell, and there are two sort of grates in the back, and you can actually pop those out if you can get a little screwdriver in the nearest edge while pushing on the tabs underneath. Now, why would you want to take these apart? Don't know. Maybe you want to maybe want to sell parts off it. Maybe the whole thing's broken and there's a couple pieces you're just going to resell to some collectors or someone out there. Someone needs to replace it. Have to caution that once you take these pieces off, they don't go in very, very well. They don't go back too well. They don't quite fit exactly. The shell tends to sort of morph a little bit, and it's tougher to get these in. But you can get those pieces off. I took them off because why? I'm going to paint this thing, and I'm going to paint those pieces. So those are those pieces. Now, let me show you this. Okay, the roll bars are just glued in. They're glued to the roof. I'm calling this little piece the roof, even though it's really slender. And they're glued in underneath the hood. And then this gray piece here is a separate piece. The dashboard is a separate piece that's glued in. And so to get these apart, to get them off, you'll find that these Jeeps from the 80s, the glue is kind of done holding. All you got to do is find a way to remove a little bit of its adhesiveness, just a tad bit more. Two things you can do. One thing is you get this stuff called Goo Gone. Goo Gone is used to remove stickers and adhesive stuff, and it doesn't leave a stain. It uses citrus. In fact, let me find it here. Got it right back. Here we go. Right back over here. This is the stuff. Goo Gone. So if you put a little bit of this, if you can dribble some of this into where the adhesive is, let it sit for a little bit, you can pry this thing apart. Let me show you the prying mechanism I used. I actually used a little screwdriver, and I used the bars as leverage, and you just slowly take your time. It's all about taking your time, people. If you think this is like you go fast, you don't go fast. You go slow. If this should take you an hour. That's how long this should take you. No, it shouldn't take you that long. But you can see I'm just slowly popping them out using the bars to pry it. And believe it or not, eventually this little piece, once you free up the glue, it pops right off. And without doing much, if any, damage, as long as you go kind of slow. And there it is. That's how I got it off, and that piece can be separately painted. All right, let's move on to the next vid. This is me soaking the bottom half in water. Now, a lot of people just want to know how to get the wheels off this thing. Here's how you get the wheels off. You could try the Goo Gone to try and pour it down the axles to get it in there. But the wheels are just glued in. The axles have a little kind of a screw, right? They don't screw in. The little screw part is just so that they can get some glue around the axle to make a better bind. But if you put it in very, very warm water, do not use boiling water. If you bring the water to boil, let it cool for a bit. So this is me soaking this chassis in the water, and the hot water will get into the axles and get into the glue, and it will dissolve what's left of the glue, which there ain't much left on these, okay? Especially this one that's been in the attic. So this is, and look how dirty the water is. Filthy. This thing was totally filthy. Okay, so here it is with the wheels off. What you do then, after you take it off, grab each wheel on each side like this, and just slowly pull apart. You don't have to get a stick or a crowbar or wedge it. Just with I'm not a big dude. I'm a small dude. I'm a tall guy, but small dude. You just pull it apart. It's very easy, and you can see what the what the end of the axles look like. They have these sort of, they have these threads on them as if it screws in, but I don't think it screws in. I think that's just to help the glue maintain its adhesiveness. And I was pretty happy when I got the wheels off, to be honest with you, because everyone said, like, that's something that you got to break, that has to be busted. And getting these things apart for me was a bit of a win. So let's move on to, unless there's anything, yeah, trying to show, it's so hard to get the camera to focus up on this. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. So that's how they glue it in. They just put some glue over that thing and they stick these things in. Okay, so next I did this. I put the this piece in because I wanted to get the roll bar off. I also wanted to take the stickers off. I think some people who might be wanting to redo the Vamp, clean it up, take it apart, maybe fix, get some repo parts or get some spare parts for it, might want to put new stickers on it. I assume that you can just get brand new stickers from somebody who prints them out, or maybe there's some legacy ones out there somehow. You can actually, with the goo gun or with the hot water, you can actually just, once it's warmed up, you can just peel the stickers off and you can save them. You could probably even resell them. I'm going to refinish this, so I just can the stickers. I don't really care about them. But this is me soaking the car, and I'll tell you what, I put it in, the water was a little too hot, and it warped a little bit of the hood where it meets the dashboard, and now it looks a bit weird on my finished product, but I don't care. You know why? Because this thing is just a goof to begin with, and the goofier it looks, the more fun I think it is. But this is me soaking it. And then finally, you can see the remnants of the glue on this roll cage. After it's soaked in the warm water, it's real easy to take a little screwdriver and peel apart. Yeah, see there where it got a little too hot and melted it a bit. Also sort of warped the, ended up warping the body slightly, but when you put it back on, you can rubber band it, right, to keep it all secure, and then you can put it in front of your heater for a bit, and you can get it to pretty closely remold itself. It's not awesome, it's not great, but if you're kind of a customizer, repainter guy, it doesn't really matter a whole much, and so I didn't care too much about it. But if you're one of those people like, I don't dare destroy this mint 1982 Vamp, then don't boil the top, okay? That's only for people who are just trying to remove the glue. And the goo gun, again, works over and over and over again. So thank you to everybody who made it this far into part 1 of revamping the Vamp. This is how you take apart a Vamp. The last thing I just want to say is that you cannot get the rims off without breaking them. I've tried heating, I've tried the degluing. They do not come off. You're going to have to totally destroy them if that's your thing, to take the rims off. Leave the rims alone. Okay, people? I'll see everyone in part 2, where you see exactly what colors and what things I added to the Vamp to sort of make it cool. So everybody out there, make sure you stay charged.